And welcome to the live stream, everybody. We are looking at the sun and 171 angstroms. Lots of stuff to cover. I'll give you a couple more views here of the solar activity, which is very low. Solar minimum conditions drag on. Small region that's a little bit active right here. Cycle 24 plas, essentially. No sunspots. 10.7 centimeter radial flux still at 67. So weak activity, and big tech is going to take it on the chin again today. We are proud to be one of the leading anti-Google channels on YouTube. And there's a reason for that. It's because we can't stand Google, or their political bias, or their fraud, or their scams, or their junkware. Here's a 304 angstrom view. Again, very low levels of solar activity, as well as odd, obscuring events on the SDO. There you have it. Let's move on to more data. Going to look at the LASCO coronagraph here, the C2, as Venus swings into view. There was a coronal mass ejection yesterday, which we covered on our daily video. I'll let that play through one more time. You should be able to see a coronal mass ejection here on the 13th coming out of this region right here. There it goes. A giant bubble of plasma comes out. And we're running very late today, so we got to keep things moving here. Looking at spaceweather.com, they're talking about the CME that we covered over 24 hours ago. Anyway, check out spaceweather.com for all the latest stuff, such as oddities in the atmosphere creating green flashes, as well as near-Earth objects becoming popular due to the Perseid meteor shower. And let's keep moving here, as, again, there's usually a lot of stuff to cover. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We do appreciate that, even if you're not viewing live. Phi angle currently at 157 degrees. Solar wind density around 2.1, so very low solar wind density. Solar wind speed ramping down to, geez, I don't know, 451 kilometers per second there. The scale expanded here as we got a super high spike, 1150 kilometers per second there. Probably some sort of anomaly. Let's look at the ACE and see if it corroborates. And it does not. Probably a cosmic ray spike, and we will look at cosmic rays real quick. It's going to be a great day, folks, as Veritas releases another video about how biased Google is. Dear Google, comma, screw you, period. Transcribe that, you despicable company. Let's look at cosmic rays. First, we'll look at Apatity and Barentsburg. Dear Google, screw you. And we are not getting any data from Barentsburg. Let's try Athens. Here's the Athens-Greece neutron monitor. There's the last 30 days of data. Don't say we never gave you anything. Here's a Mexico City cosmic ray monitor. Staying inside a fairly tight range there. Next, we'll look at Moscow. And last, we'll look at Oulu and Antarctica monitors, DOMC and DOMB, if they load. That's okay, we'll wait, along with our viewers, who are very patient to wade through a bunch of nonsense. And that's not loading either, so let's just keep going here since Olu's not going to load. Here's where things like planets and the moon and Haumea and Maki Maki are located. And there's where things will be in 1 week. Now, if you look at the ISWA page, the Integrated Space Weather, whatever, Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon is now on page 6 instead of page 7, indicating that something's changed. I don't know what, as I haven't gone through this. But we're going to show you Mercury swinging into view. Again, this view from Stereo A coronagraph. Check it out. Anyway, we see no coronal mass ejections facing the Earth or anything on this view, so let's keep going, as there is still quite a bit of stuff to cover, like magnetosphere movies, and geospace ground magnetic perturbations, and cosmology stuff, and big tech censorship, and the memes that we create original on this channel to expose the lies, fraud, and scams and abuse of big tech. Dear Facebook, comma, screw you, just like Google. Anyway, here's the magnetosphere movie showing the density, which is pretty low, shown in light colors here, as dark colors like navy blue represent high density. Learn magnetohydrodynamics, folks. If you're not familiar with it, get familiar. It's going to be really important to your daily life. Here's the pressure movie. And we see the standard thing. You see the Earth is kind of in a discharging mode here. The primary magnetohydrodynamic pressure located in the magnetotail side, not the sun-facing side. Again, very low solar wind density and a nominal solar wind speed. Let's look at ground geospace magnetic perturbations here. For all of you people who don't understand anything about the geomagnetic excursion, we've got 2 north poles on our planet right now. There's one over north central Canada as well as one over Siberia. And the South Pole is creeping into the southern Indian Ocean. If you weren't aware, well, we're more than happy to inform you of it. This is responsible for climate change, not things like carbon dioxide, as electromagnetic fields and electrical current run the atmosphere, not humans, as it is the height of arrogance to believe that human beings can control the weather. A ridiculous notion that we laugh at on the regs. Here's where things are located above my head. Actually, I think we're a little bit... There we go. There's where things are located above my head. We've got the Mercury. We've got Sun. We've got... Is that Venus? We got the Mercury. We've got the Sun. We've got the Venus. And we got the Mars, creating a planetary stellar pileup. Check out in-the-sky.org if you want to make your own sky map for what's going on above your head. You can even animate it and figure out when one of the most important stars in the sky, Deneb, in the constellation Cygnus, the tail of the swan, will set, which is looks like about 9:30. Where were you when Deneb set? Now, if you want to share our mission to help to keep our channel in existence, check out smashomash.com/forum/mission and share it with your friends so they know what it is we're talking about. If you'd like to keep the channel in existence, please become a patron. Patreon.com/smashomash. You'll get some things early, and some things are going to come out at the same time as everybody else, depending on how important they are. Also, check out soundclick.com/goldencatproductions for original music. If you'd like to add some of that to your MP3 collection, they're like 99 cents to $1.25 a piece. Let's go back to space. Now, this data is measured at the F2 ionosphere layer, courtesy of the GOES 14 and 15 spacecraft. X-ray flux totally flatlined. No sunspots, a little active region, not enough to produce anything resembling an X-ray flare. We haven't seen an X-ray flare since the beginning of July. KP is at 1 the past 6+ hours. GOES electron flux is in just a trading range. I don't want to call it a trading range, a nominal range. Here are the aurora forecasts. Borealis on the left, Australis on the right. I'm over it. Let's load the ionosphere movie here, courtesy Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. We'll let that play through and then see the current situation via the latest image. Ionosphere looking pretty normal right now, although there would be some cold nights and indeed days happening in the southern hemisphere. Please leave a comment if it's ridiculously cold or ridiculously hot where you're located in the southern hemisphere. And there's the latest image, which is actually looking very, very discharged on both the day and nighttime side. Something to keep an eye on throughout the day. And when I say ion, the pun was intentional. Here's a GOES magnetometer, seeing continued spikes, and we're going to see more and more days of continued magnetospheric spikes, magnetometer spikes, that is. And we're going to show you why in 1 minute, maybe less than a minute. Here's the Gong 2 data, which is an hour and 19 minutes old. And if you see all these different areas of different plasma densities here that are approaching the Earth-facing region of the solar disk, you will agree that we're going to see in constant, over the next few days, we're going to see constant GOES magnetometer spikes. So that's not going to smooth out for quite a while. And indeed, there is a possibility that a sunspot could form there. That would be a cycle 25 sunspot just south of the solar equator, a little bit to the east of the solar meridian. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel, as it is our main content host, although we are on various other social medias. So visit the links in the description and see all the content as we keep some exclusive. Let's do a volcano rundown. Karimsky back on the list, producing a 13,000-foot ash plume there on Kamchatka. Mount Aso, possible activity, not totally sure, as we use satellite data for certain volcanoes. Mount Ibu, erupting, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Please don't fly your homemade kit helicopter over that. Explosive activity continues at Sangjiang Api, and a 10,000-foot ash plume, which they consider a minor, weak emission. Personally, I wouldn't try to pole vault over it. How about Dacono? Explosive activity there, 7,000-foot plume. Popocatépetl still exploding, 23,000-foot plume there. Fuego, located in Guatemala, 15,000-foot ash plume there. Please do not pole vault that. Sabancaya, 24,000-foot ash plume, and explosive activity happening there in Peru. And Nevados de Chilean, sporadic puffs. Let's talk about global warming. A lot of folks worried about Greenland heating up. Look at how hot Greenland is, folks. It's only 4 degrees C below normal. Here's, according to the GFS model, what it'll be doing. Notice how cold it is over Western Canada. And yes, there are warm temperature anomalies here. This is a temperature anomaly. There's a situation. If you're worried about Greenland melting, I feel sorry for you. But if I'm forced to feel sorry for you, I might as well show you the snow depth. So let's look real close, folks. Here's the snow depth on Greenland. We'll put down some posts here so you can figure out exactly how deep it is. Oh my gosh, it's melting. There's only more than 5 meters of snow there, and there's more than 5 meters of snow there, and there's more than 5 meters of snow there, and there's more than 5 meters of snow there. Oh wait, sorry, it's only 143 inches of snow there. Oh my gosh, Greenland is melting. Sell your oceanfront property before sea levels rise and drown you. Pardon the sarcasm, it's hard to help. It's difficult to resist. As on this channel, we like to be entropy busters. Since there is so much entropy on the internet, reducing people's ideas to complete nonsense. Flooding claims more than 300 lives in India, Myanmar, and Pakistan as their monsoon season continues to kill people through mudslides and various other disasters. If you weren't aware of how precipitation works, and you knew nothing about atmospheric physics, please be informed that all things the same, if the temperature drops, it will precipitate. And giant rainstorms and things like tornadoes are caused by cold air, not hot air. And one other little note about global warming is that the Earth's temperature cannot be measured with the atmosphere. You have to measure the ocean's temperatures. If you're not measuring ocean temperature 3 meters or deeper, you have no idea what the Earth's temperature is. And guess how many gauges are out there measuring the ocean temperatures at those depths? Guess how many? Not a lot. The answer is not a lot. I don't know how many, but not very many. Here's the U.S. Doppler radar. We see a bunch of scattered showers all across everywhere, and I'm over that entirely. Here's the U.S. water vapor map. If you've got strong storms over your head and you're wondering what they'll do next, check out a water vapor map such as the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. We're going to do a quick zoom in here over this convergence zone around the Texas-Oklahoma border, as it looks interesting to me. And I'm sure there are plenty of weather pornographers that watch our channel. So please just give us a credit in your next weather porn film, and we'll be more than happy to be tested for STDs. I would note, you see these ripples here in the dry air? Those are electromagnetic field shock waves reverberating through the denser air, seen here. And again, for those of you who don't understand atmospheric physics, keep in mind that wet air is denser than dry air due to the molar mass of atmospheric nitrogen versus atmospheric H2O. Atmospheric H2O is less massive, which is why dry air is more massive than wet air. This creates massive convergence zones, and the electrical current has to go somewhere, and so it goes through the dense air. And that's why you see these concentric lines here. Those are not chemtrails, those are not contrails. Those are electromagnetic radiation creating ionization pathways. The same thing that forms galaxies, planets, clouds, and indeed galaxies, not to mention stars. We've moved on to the that's an ass, and that is a hole in the ground resembling some sort of a gateway to hell. I think it's in China. Don't quote me on it. If you can identify those emergency personnel, please leave it in the comments. Let's talk about censorship. Big tech thinks that they're really good at censorship, but all they're doing is sabotaging their own existence. Were you aware that Google is a scam and not a verb? Did you get to see ads before, during, and or after this video? Does that cause you to think that Google pays this channel a single cent, 1 red penny? Nope, Google actually shakes us down for money, as they do every company that would like a listing on the searches, which is why you shouldn't use Google as a search engine, because it is a complete scam. It's completely biased. Google is a hack organization, and you should try to get them out of your lives. Let's talk about the new Veritas video that's coming out today. The distortion is grotesque. Google Insider turns over a laptop and over 950 pages, documenting bias to the Department of Justice. Oh, darn. Let's accept cookies. So, guess what, folks? If you thought Google was objective in the search results, and if you're wondering about search engines, there's James O'Keefe. Shout out James O'Keefe. We want to interview everybody associated with your organization. If you thought Google search results were objective, think again. And remember, folks, the 2 largest search engines in the world are Google, and what do you think the second one is? The answer is YouTube. Now, I invite our users, our viewers, and especially our donors to be ungoogleable. and to get ahead of the curve and get the hell out of anything associated with Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Apple especially. Because Captain, censors indicate censorship, fraud, political bias, and spyware emanating from big tech. If you work for the board of directors of a big tech company, you might want to leave the country. So please support us on Patreon, as YouTube pays us precisely nothing for these videos. Now, we're not a fan of Facebook algorithms either, because they're, let's just say, less than optimal. And here's a message to big tech, which includes Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, and every other company out there trying to ruin the internet. Dear big tech, you can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. And I don't want to cover this stuff, folks. I want to cover science stuff. However, big tech is so pathetic with their inability to write software and their political bias and their fraud and all of their scams and their spyware and their malware and their junkware, which is primarily what Google, Facebook, and Twitter write. Apple's junkware is a little less junky, I think, but I don't use it either because I hate Apple. Their software is garbage, and their hardware is not worthy of being called garbage. Turns out Facebook listened to users' conversations. Were you aware? Well, this article just came out today. We'll put it in the description after the video is complete, since I'm sure our thumbnail and description are totally screwed up as they've been. And we've been trying to fix them every day and spending hours and hours trying to figure out how to get through a Malthusian maze of nonsense, courtesy of Google, the parent company of YouTube. If you weren't aware, Facebook recently paid a $5 billion fine to the U.S. to U.S. trade regulators. I'm not sure which government organization they paid the $5 billion fine for. Now, part of the reason their stock price didn't suffer further was because they already had $3 billion put aside for that. So they only had to pay $2 billion out of pocket on the spot for a fine. But in any case, much like Apple and Google, we paused human review of audio more than a week ago. So, oh my gosh, aren't you delighted? I'm sure you haven't been being recorded for the last decade or anything by things like Facebook Messenger. What a pathetic abuse of the power of big tech. Facebook and Google, good luck with that. If I owned your stock, and I certainly would never do so, but if I did, I would sell it today. Because your companies are garbage. They are zombies that can't get out of their own ways. So, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Twitter, you can shove it. China scientists warn of global cooling. And guess what they're not blaming? Human behavior. That's right, it has nothing to do with CO2. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with fossil fuels. We'll put links to this article also from the South China Morning Post about the reality that global warming can kill you. And it's not going to, since the planet's not warming. However, global cooling could kill you in one winter, especially if you get a blizzard and your power goes out and you freeze into a solid block. Whereas if it gets hot and the temperature goes up to 120 degrees, you could probably just relax and drink a lot of water and not do a lot of physical activity and wait for the heat wave to pass and you'll be fine. However, if you freeze into a block of ice, you're not going to survive. So thanks for tuning into the smAsho stream, folks. It's about time to get the hell out of here and show you one more view of the sun, kind of like a bonus feature. Here's a colorized magnetogram. Let's see what's going on with that active region. We're going to zoom way in. We're going to read your comments as it plays. And then we are going to run away from a bunch of nonsensical software that is screwing up this stream, this thumbnail, this title, and wasting lots of our time every day. Google is the lead time-wasting software in the world, folks. If you weren't aware, there are about 2 billion, that's 2 billion with a B, Android devices. Now, Alphabet, the parent company of Google, owns the Android operating system. as well as Motorola and YouTube and all other countless internet access, as well as 60+% of servers around the whole world. So please, de-Googlify yourself, stare at the sun. Remember, when you're doing so, don't drink, and if you drink, stare at the sun anyway, as companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, and Twitter will drive you to want to drink. But don't do it. And especially if you do drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now,